This remote land, the land of the Chad, lies in French Equatorial Africa. A map of its territory would identify some of its plains and rivers, but large areas would be marked unexplored. Wide savannas and dense forests have kept this region inaccessible, and where transport and roads are sparse, peoples can't communicate, resources can't develop. But in this age of the airplane, an age of discovery, unexplored lands and isolated peoples are a challenge to investigation. Always among the first to answer is the geographer. Every month he sets out from his base to chart another little part of the interior. Thicket clearers make the first break into the wilderness. Drummers beat out measured rhythms for the bearers who carry the expedition's equipment and provisions. At a fixed time and place, the geographer sets up his barometer. A careful reading of the barometric pressure is recorded. Now, the altitude of this pinpoint on the map can be calculated. The road builders to follow will know the best course for their construction. At the same fixed time, but back at the main base, the same procedure is followed. By comparing the reading of the altitude taken in the field with this reading of the known altitude at the base, an accurate check can be made. The intense noonday heat brings the march to a halt. It helps that the geographer knows a little about medicine. He's responsible for the health of his bearers and can aid the neighboring villagers as well. He has his dexterity, his knowledge of today. But these people too have their dexterity and customs which go back thousands of years. In this country which is young, some things have remained from antiquity. A dagger, two dry sticks, and soon there'll be a glowing ember to start the campfire. The geographer works on in his mosquito net cell. Millimeter by millimeter, the unexplored pink sections of the Chad map are being erased. Here, where the maps are still embryonic, it's natural for roads to be rare. They average about 1 mile in 100 square miles, and the network expands very slowly. Road building in the heart of the jungle demands the utmost in physical exertion and ingenuity. Regardless of obstacles, distances to the outside world must be shortened. The river must be bridged to carry the road. Only the sweat and energy of the native workers can push the new roads through, can throw new doors open. One day, machines will cross this still unfinished bridge to help develop the region's natural resources. More new crops will be grown when they can reach the markets of the exterior more readily. The possibilities of a richer life are here, and slowly the people learn. For example, coffee readily grows here. The plants are started in greenhouses, then transplanted in wicker-like fiber pots, they flourish in the fertile soil. The coffee plants multiply in number each year, and each of them yields from 2 to 12 pounds of coffee bean a year. Peanuts are another valuable crop. The old ways are still used to extract the oil. One day, a simple machine will make the work easier. Further north, near Fort Lamy, there's a sort of African Middle West. Because this region is luckily free from the ravages of the tsetse fly, it has developed as a pasture land. The milk industry makes this the Wisconsin of Africa. Easily balancing their jugs of milk, they come to market, and they bring their own company right along. These milk centers have their own experts who test the milk for its butterfat content. A hand-driven churn makes a good butter. And there are cheeses on the order of tasty camembert and port de salut. Wherever there's a dairy, there's bound to be a butcher shop nearby. In this prairie region, a large-scale, though still primitive, meat industry has developed. Here, old-fashioned bully beef is made by soaking the meat in brine and then hanging it in the warm sun to cure. No cans, no labels, and it's just as nourishing this way. From season to season, a good 1 million head of livestock move from this region to the less fortunate areas. Their cattle died of the dread sleeping sickness carried by the tsetse fly. This African horseman handles his herd somewhat as our familiar cowboys do. Entire herds are driven from one province to another, crossing wide rivers without ever losing a single straggling dogie. The most promising resource of the Chad country is its cotton. Nearly everyone has a little patch near his hut, and it's hard work bringing the cotton to the factory. Each little crop makes a little white mound, but weighed all together in a year, these mounds add up to an impressive total, 70,000 tons. As payment is made, they see in this paper money perhaps the price of a new cotton shirt someday. Back now to the cotton, working black bodies against the dazzling white. The cotton is fed into the ginning machines where the seeds are separated from the fibers. Then the balers. Each bale weighs 200 pounds, and at last the cotton is ready for shipment to the coast. Cotton, coffee, beef. These are the conventional products in a new and adventurous land. But the element of adventure is here. Here there is gold. It is found in the form of veined rocks and dust, rather than in the nuggets of the Klondike. Again, only rudimentary equipment and muscle-wearying toil are available to extract the precious metal. And precious little of the metal are they able to keep as a reward for their labor. Since the time of Herodotus, Africa has been called the land of gold. Maybe this was just an ancient traveler's whim or a poet's fancy. But today, the geologists and the prospectors have proved the poet right. Lacking industrial equipment, and especially mechanical ore grinders, the miner is obliged to put aside the blocks of ore and to treat only the dust. Are still the remote villages with huts of mud and straw, still the old communal well, the water shared, the strange faces. But there are contrasts too. Some soldiers carry high-powered binoculars. Some still the old spears. Still the old cup. The end of the palaver under the mango tree. There exist still startling women's fashions. But she wears a different fashion, a dress made of the cotton she carries almost as a symbol of today, like the camera which records the faces of the soldiers with their kepi-like caps. And as everywhere else, the youngsters copy their brothers. This dance could be a folk dance, which people everywhere appreciate in much the same way. These people, their land and their work will be recorded by the cameras of the future as they build a changing Africa.